Hello and welcome everyone, all the lads, back to On The Esky, sports podcast where we wrap up all the week in sport, have a few beers and talk some dribble.
Billy's, Billy's. Sorry. 8 o'clock in the morning here.
Yep.
Me and Monk's cracking one open, but what have we got planned for today?
Cricket, T20, of course the World Cup is deep into its tournaments. We've got the week 9 of the NFL come up with lots of news. Massive UFC pay-per-view coming up as well, 268, as well as looking at back at 267 from the weekend, the back-to-backs. And then a whole bunch of other sports. We'll see how we go. There's the NBA, EPL, and Champions League, of course. Plus a bunch of other things as well, like local sports and a bit of AFL and NRL news.
Bit off-season, yeah.
But it's off-season as well. As always, there's timestamps throughout, so you can jump into the sports you want to listen to. Otherwise, if you like this content, please consider subscribing and giving us a follow on the Instagram. We also love comments and give us some likes as well.
Wouldn't mind some posts on the Instagram too, Max. Obviously been a busy week for everyone. Our real jobs getting in the way of our podcasting.
Yes.
Yes,
definitely.
We'll have to get back onto that.
Busy time of the year.
Yes. And with that, lads, I think we should get stuck into shout a beer. Monks, would you like to go first?
Yep, yeah, sure. So this week I'm going to shout a beer to our very own Aussie Lucas Herbert. He won his first PGA in his just his 19th start. It was the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. In Port Royal, over there in Bermuda. So
Bermuda, in the triangle.
That's it.
A few golf balls go missing over there, I reckon.
I'd definitely lose a lot.
Lucas obviously didn't.
No.
First win.
Yeah, that's it. Came in 15 under par. Beat out Danny Lee and Patrick Reed and pocketed a cool 1.2 mil US.
Yeah.
Only 25 years old as well. So
he looks like a wise 25. I'm going to put that nicely.
He's been out in the sun, played a lot of golf.
I guess, yeah. Hey, but good on him. He's cracked the top 50 in the rankings, and it's another Aussie on the scene. So
that's it. Good.
Yeah, along with Leishman and Cam Smith, we've got some really top flight golfers now. So
yeah, that's it.
Good on him.
Yeah, good on him.
Sean, who are you shouting a beer? I'm sure they've had plenty. One more wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, well, I think they've had plenty of champagne is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Braves actually won the World Series. I think they did it 4-1 from memory. They went right through the Astros. It is their first World Series since 1995 and first real big for Atlanta in a while as well, I think, in the major sports.
Falcons, other than blowing a lead in the Super Bowl, Hawks haven't done much. So big win for the state of Georgia.
Yes. So, of course, great to see them get the win in this. And,
apparently all of America was going for them because Houston have won a few of late.
I think they won 2 years ago, and they've been in a couple others and lost as well recently. Yeah. But, everyone's against Texas. and those teams, America's teams down in Texas. So, I think it's pretty good. Happy the Braves win, and we'll take it from there.
I'll shout another winner. I don't know if the horse can drink beer, but I'm sure James McDonald and the owners might be able to. Very elegant, winning the world's actually the second richest race on turf these days after the Everest. Very elegant, winning the Melbourne Cup. Punters getting on at about $16 to $18 depending on when you got in. A ripping horse and come down that straight at Flemington like it got shot out of a gun. And a few of the boys had a little win on it, including myself. So
very nice.
No Wheat Bix for dinner this week. And a great horse knocking off Incentivise, the shortest price favourite since Maccabi Diva. So J-Mac and the team, very elegant. Good on you. Chris Waller, etc., etc.
Good one.
So I think it's time for us to get stuck into the cricket with the T20 coming. The T20 World Cup coming closer to a resolution in the Super 12 when we get some
I think we've got
semi-finals. 5
games to go as of recording. Saturday morning here on a beer at 20 to 8 in the fucking morning. But let's get stuck into the game since the last pod.
How did we get to this point?
We'll start with group. We'll just work through Group A and then into Group B.
Yep.
So the West Indies beat Bangladesh by 3 runs in one of the closer encounters so far. It was Nicholas Puran who batted down the order. I think it's 7. And he smashed 40 off 22 to set them up for 142. And the Bangladeshis, they just fell short. The wickets shared there between the West Indies and essentially knocking Bangladesh out of the tournament at that stage. Moving into the next game, South Africa defeated Sri Lanka by 4 wickets to keep their reasonable tournament rolling. Quinton de Kock back in this game. Lots of noise around him, obviously, last week. And then the big one for us was us getting absolutely destroyed by England, quite frankly, by 8 wickets. Monks, if you wouldn't mind bringing that scoreboard up on the screen for us. They are just a class above in white ball cricket. And I don't know if it's these decks over there in the UAE, but we can't seem to score big scores over there. Finch, under a run of ball, 44, just sort of, chipping it around. We never really got going. Warner, Smith, Maxwell Stoinis, the Poms were all over us, boys. Did you catch the highlights on this one? This was a late one on a Thursday night, I think. So, this was late Sunday night. So hard for live viewing.
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well, Peps. The scoring, of course, an issue. Finch tried his best to keep us in that. I think last week I was talking about, are we worried about someone like Maxwell's form at the moment?
Well, we weren't.
We weren't.
We were going into this and hasn't really fired. We were worried about Davey Warner's form. He scored runs, obviously, in the game before. We're just a class below them. They're white ball cricket. It's their forte. Josh Butler is an absolute machine.
Yeah,
he's out there making it look very easy. Hit 71 knots, striking at 221. They're just a class above, and you'd think. Along with Pakistan, I guess we'll get to them in a second.
Yeah,
red hot favourites.
That was going to be my point.
Out.
Yeah. It looks like England and Pakistan are the favourites. They're the 2 more complete sides and a step above everyone else currently in this tournament. So.
It seems like it, but as well, it's cricket. Anything can happen. So
and especially T20, like anything can happen in 20 overs.
England backed it up. The next game against Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka put up a good fight in that one there. And then the next game, South Africa defeated Bangladesh. So South Africa really causing a problem here for the Aussies. We did beat them in the opening game unconvincingly. So that set up a big clash for us. This one was Thursday night against Bangladesh, and we took care of business, skittled them for 70-odd. And Adam Zampa, I think, took a 5-for, and it was the best bowling figures in a T20 by an Australian ever. So shout out to Zamps in that one.
Did you see Zamps getting stuck into Wade about dropping his hat-trick ball?
No, I did see the drop. I didn't see what was
the hot mic caught Zampa getting stuck into him.
What did he say?
I think he said something along the lines of, how'd you drop that? And he said, and Wade just apologized, like, sorry, mate. And I think Zampa went back and was like, that was harder than the last one.
That's all. It was easier than the last one, do you mean?
Easier than the last one, yes.
Yeah, it's always the easy ones.
Yeah.
No, because there's pressure on the easy ones. There's pressure.
Yeah, well, there's pressure on the easy ones and being the hat-trick ball, but anyway.
So I got some stats here for us. So Ashton Agar was 5 for 19. Oh, sorry, Zampa was 5 for 19. Yeah. Agar back in March this year. Against New Zealand.
He took that 6 for.
Yeah.
You know what it was? Best at a T20 World Cup was the graphic that I saw. Sorry to Ashton Agar missing out a little bit in this tournament too.
Yeah. But it was actually really good. They did really well on there because that bumped our run rate up significantly.
We were negative. Like -7 going into this, and now, Monks, I know we're making you work overtime. Yeah. What are we? We're +1?
+1.
So completely flipped it on its head, and actually meant that we jumped South Africa. So if the tournament was to finish now, and we'd be in the semis.
Yep.
Problem is there's 2 big games coming up. We'll just quickly mention that Sri Lanka beat the West Indies, but both those teams are Dunskies. Yep. Speaking of the West Indies, we've got a big clash with them. It's not must win, but a win would be good, and then we don't have to worry about the superlatives. What could happen?
Yeah, if we don't win, we don't want to be flogged. Because then that run rate we're just talking about comes back into play. So
what's South Africa? 0.7.
0.7.
So they're only just behind us. So we really need the Poms to do us a favour and just
smoke them
and just smoke them. Well, I suppose we play first, so we need to do ourselves a favour and just win the fucking game. And then you pretty much, unless some kind of miracle flogging of England occurs, then we're home. It's interesting that net run rate goes over head to head in terms of splitting teams.
Yeah.
That's always been the preferred method of tie breaking. I feel like if you've beaten that side, that should be the tie breaking method. But alas, it's a World Cup, and that's the way that it goes. It's cutthroat, and everything points to tomorrow night with us taking on the Windies.
I reckon the reason for that is it potentially brings in those lower teams within the in the groups. So if you win, say, your 3 matches against the lower teams, potentially, hey, you've got a good run rate, and then if you sneak one game against the top teams, then hey, you can get through into the group. I think it brings them into a bit more than the head-to-head, because they'll probably lose to all the top teams, but then win to the lower teams, so then the head-to-head doesn't really help them, whereas the run rate in that scenario potentially may help them a little bit more.
Yeah, possibly. I can see the reasoning there. I just feel you'd feel hard done by if South Africa were to go through and we were to miss out having beaten them. But
I suppose to that as well, like, it's just make sure that you got to score as many runs as quick as possible.
And it encourages entertaining cricket. I don't know how entertaining an 8-wicket demolition of Bangladesh is.
I mean, Aussie's innings was over in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, 15,
England,
20, England, I think, won their match against Scotland in 6 overs.
Was it 6 overs?
Yeah, they 6.3 to get 89 against Scotland. Actually, no, India. India today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Why do I keep confusing India and England?
I don't know. It's like they're both better cricketing nations than us that we hate equally.
Yes.
Yep.
Shout out to any of our Indian listeners. You guys are pretty good, but we do still hate you. Sorry. Speaking of, let's move into Group B. Pakistan defeated Afghanistan by 5 wickets. We were kind of, if anyone could have spoilt the party here, it could have been the Afghans. Pakistan got the job done and essentially booked their ticket through to the semis. Afghanistan did back it up with a big win against Namibia. Then the big one of the week, Monks, if you wouldn't mind clicking there, on India and New Zealand. At the time of our last podcast, India had just suffered that big loss to Pakistan.
Yep.
All eyes went forward to this game against New Zealand. And the same theme as has been throughout the World Cup. You lose the toss and you feel like you're in trouble because for whatever reason it is in these Emirati decks, if you bat first, it seems to be very difficult. The team chasing has seemed to have the upper hand in a lot of these. So Kohli, he lost the toss and they got sent in and they only managed 110. Not much from the top order there. They're actually a little bit lucky to get some runs out of Jadoo and Hardik Pandya at the end there. Just scroll down. Who of the Kiwi bowlers impressed there? Trent Boult, 3 for 20, and Ish Sodhi had their number, 2 for 17. And then India did it easy. New Zealand did it easy. Fuck, you got me doing it now. They did it easy through Daryl Mitchell, I think, in about his 6th or 7th T20 ever, and Kane Williamson chipping in and essentially breaking the hearts of Indian fans. It's going to be very, very... They do still have a chance. We'll get to that in a second. Yep. But, yeah, no one expected them to go 0-2 to start the tournament. What were our thoughts regarding this?
Well, it just... We weren't so sure about New Zealand, and I said it last week, and we thought they'd be doing pretty well. Of course, they've knocked off everyone in the Test game, and they've definitely have the talent over there. But yeah, to come out and show up India was pretty impressive. I thought, especially with an 8-wicket win in that one,
especially with all the guys coming off the IPL. That's what I thought. You know, these guys are coming out of an IPL, which had been played on these decks. I thought that. Coming into the tournament was going to hold them in good stead.
Maybe they're worn out. There's also that thinking they've
IPL hangover.
A little bit of a fatigue.
It's potential. They've played a lot of cricket compared to some of the other nations.
I like it. Hangover. I'm not sure what they feel like actually. Hangovers. Someone might have to describe that feeling to me.
Bullshit.
But
beers on Saturday morning. Don't believe that.
Yeah, well that's right. At 20 to 8 in the fucking morning.
Straight back on the horse.
That's the state of our lives at the moment. But yeah, that's it. That is a good point, and something that I hadn't considered is maybe a little bit of fatigue. They play a lot of cricket these days, and sometimes when you've got the favourite tag and everything's expected of you, a couple of things go against you. And yeah, I hadn't really considered that. So good point there. Moving forward, what do we have? Pakistan defeated Namibia. They're undefeated. New Zealand actually Scotland were pretty good in this game. They only just
may have sobered up for this one.
Yeah, maybe of the Iron Blue.
Yeah. Had to put the lads trip on hold and see if we could win a match. But.
Yeah, they did about as good as us trying to talk at fucking 8:30 on a Saturday morning. And then India went out and did something really good for their net run rate, beating Afghanistan by 66 runs. New Zealand's comfortable over Namibia, and then India, big win over Scotland. So essentially, Monks, if you wouldn't mind bringing up the table there, we've got 3 games to go here. Essentially, India needs Afghanistan to do them a massive favour and beat New Zealand. That's essentially their only chance here, although these last few results have helped their net run rate. So we see their India 2-2, their net run rate 1.6. So their net run rate is actually better than New Zealand. So if Afghanistan were to beat New Zealand and do them a favour, India would just have to get over the mighty Namibia to get into the top 2. But it's a tall ask. We're talking about how good New Zealand are, and everyone sleeps on them. But yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, well, if India also lose their match and Afghanistan win, they can go through.
Afghanistan could go through.
So they still have everything to play for.
Well, no, there's this scenario. I don't think India's going to lose to Namibia.
No, I
but there is this scenario. Say Afghanistan were to win well against New Zealand and India were to only win okay against Namibia.
Yeah.
They could finish equal on points and Afghanistan jump them on net run rate. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So a lot of scenarios still to come through. We've got England and Pakistan. They've booked their tickets. They'll be playing in the semis. And then we've got India and Afghanistan and Australia and South Africa battling it out for those last 2 spots. Yes. And throw New Zealand in there, of course. There was a few Shield games this week, if you wouldn't mind just having a look there. But the big news, I suppose, to come out of the domestic cricket scene, we spoke about it last week, Will Pucovski, there was some speculation, would he play in this Shield game? No, and it seems like he's not going to be playing in the first test. He's still suffering a few of those concussion symptoms. It's not something that you want to fuck with as we speak about these days on the Esky. We know so much more about it, so no point rushing him in. He's only 23. He's got his whole career ahead of him, and the Perth test is still set to go ahead, despite the Führer McGowan. There was a lot of requests, a lot of speculation that border might have opened to other Australians for Christmas. Big Dick McGowan, mate. It's him and Peter Volandis. They're just swinging those hammers around. And he said, no, we're not opening till late January, early February. Thank you very much. So if any of our overseas listeners want to come to our beautiful country, you can come visit Sydney. You come visit Brisbane shortly. They're opening up. You can come visit Melbourne. But if you want to get to the west of Australia, you've got to wait another nearly 3 months at this stage. So good on you there, Mark McGowan. Yeah, you boys know what I think of him.
Yeah. Otherwise quarantine. So yeah.
So, but they essentially the test is going to go ahead. The players will operate out of a bubble, so straight from the hotel to the ground and back. And I imagine vaccinated Western Australians will be able to go. Yes. What have we got there in the Shield?
Can you
I'll just run through these quickly. WA beat SA. No, that's not this week. There was scrolling down for me there, Marks, if you wouldn't mind. What were you saying?
I was going to ask what Marcus Harris had done recently, because it's, by all accounts and by the talking heads in the cricket world for Australian cricket, they think he is firming as the opener with Warner.
Yeah, he got fuck all, didn't he? I think he got one. Yeah, 1 of 14, schnicked up to that fiery redhead Liam Hatcher. But yeah, Warner apparently came out and said he wants Harris. Yeah. So they've batted together. I don't know how much pull Dave Warner has, but if you're the opener and you've got a guy that you like, maybe he might have a little bit of pull with JL. But Harris actually missed out in this game. Nick Maddinson made 128. Yeah. Young James Seymour made a ton. Good on him, but obviously a little bit far off playing Test cricket. Yes. But yeah, Nick Maddinson his name's been thrown in. I think they actually, if you wouldn't mind just searching, they named a 25-man Ashes squad, which is a huge squad.
Yeah, massive.
And
for an 11-side game.
Yeah, well, generally your squad's going to be 14. Your final squad's going to be 14. So they've named like an Australia A, and maybe that they will have
Australia A and a half. So
yeah, quick maths. 25 is 2 teams plus 3. Yeah. Well, I think we need to put quick maths in the bin here on the Esky. Seriously.
I thought we had a while ago.
I've just pulled it out of the bin. But yeah, all the talk is around Marcus Harris possibly getting that opening spot. We spoke last week about Usman Khawaja scoring runs for fun. It's going to be interesting to see who gets those spots. No, nothing.
Nothing just yet.
Ashes squad news. Yada, yada, yada. We'll keep an eye on it. Fuck,
Yeah.
it's still a little while away.
We're still got probably another couple of weeks before they...
Yes, let's worry about the end of this World Cup. And Australia's never won one. Pakistan has never won one. So it'd be interesting. England, of course, has. New Zealand has not. So there could be a few first-time winners here.
Yeah, it's been an excellent tournament so far. So let's hope for a really entertaining end when we hit the semi-finals.
For sure. Let's do the On The Esky cross codes, the weirdest cross codes in all of podcasting, but two of the sports that we really like. Let's jump from cricket to the NFL. And we had an action-packed week in terms of trade news, people being vaccinated or not, so some big injuries, but then this horrific story, Henry Ruggs, he was 2 times the limit and driving 250 k's per hour, 156 miles an hour when his car crashed into that of a young 23-year-old lady, and it killed her and her dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little golden retriever, I believe.
Yeah.
And
immediately stood down.
Sacked
by the Raiders.
So they've cut him.
Career in jeopardy. And look, let's not go straight to that. A woman's lost her life and a little dog.
Nothing good happens at 3 a.m. in the morning.
No, nothing ever really happens. That's why I tend to be asleep by about 10 p.m. these days. But in all seriousness, it's just a shitty story. And after the whole thing with John Gruden a few weeks ago, the Raiders are actually having a pretty good season, and they've got all this noise now around their star young receiver who will have to go to court and is facing a lengthy stint in jail. We don't really know the legal ramifications here.
Yeah. So
there's 2 to 20 years is what we've heard.
So
that's pretty broad.
And because of this, they brought out the case from Florida. This college kid, essentially, I think he was 21, 22, renowned street racer, I think was his issue. And he ended up killing a mother and daughter in a car crash. Because speeding, but not to that level of speeding. I think he was doing about 120 miles per hour. And that was in Florida, and he got 24 years for that. Of course, not intoxicated. So, again, slightly different situation. Of course, different states, different laws. But, by all accounts, I think you'd be looking more in the double digits than you would be in the single digits for Ruggs for this. Again, the NFL lawyers and that are a bit better.
That's the thing, and
it is different.
Sucks. It sucks, but it's definitely something that we've learned, especially throughout COVID, is that money will get you places in this life, and it's going to come down to how good his lawyers are, really. But a horrible situation.
And
obviously.
Different state laws, so it's hard to compare. But like they bring out that, and you're just like, wow, that's.
I think Florida tends to be pretty strict. Anyways. We'll leave that up to the people that know what the fuck they're talking about. We'll look at it from a sporting perspective.
But either way, it looks like Ruggs' career is probably done in the NFL. Even if it's 2 years, that's 2 years out of the league. That's a long time to be out for anyone.
I think, this is all hyperbole, but hyperbole? Yeah. Hyperbole. We can edit that one out. Two years seems like it might be off the cards. I feel like that's a slap on the wrist, isn't it? So So Josh Gordon is an example. Just missing a few years can really mess up your career. If he was to get anything sort of 4 or 5 or more, then see you later. You'd think.
I think out of all of this, Derek Carr's been amazing. Like some of his comments and his thoughts, like especially one around what he was saying about Gruden, but now too with Ruggs, like he's done a really terrible thing, but he still needs love. He's still a human being. He's fucked up. Like he's big time fucked up.
Oh,
we
huge,
all know that.
huge. But that shows the bond that these two have. That Carr. A lot of people are quick to rub their hands these days and say, they've made the decision that and it's I'm not defending Ruggs at all, but it's interesting to see that Carr, must have been very close with Gruden and Ruggs because he came out in support of both of them. The quote there is, because of the person he is and because I love him, he literally texted me at midnight a golf swing, hit me and Hunter Renfroe, how's my swing look? You guys need to help me. So he's maybe out there at Top Golf, a few beers and
with his girlfriend by all counts. His girlfriend was in the car with him.
So look, a horrible scenario. And the thing is, it's going to take, as the Gruden, schmozzle a few weeks ago did, take away from this Las Vegas Raiders season, which is they're off to a great start. Derek Carr's playing out of his skin.
Yeah, well, we'll go back to Carr, like his leadership and where he's holding that team together at this point.
Yep.
So hopefully, for their sake, he can keep them together. But it's hit after hit for them. So I'm not sure how they're going to go going forward.
It's crazy to think as well at the start of the season. They didn't think Carr was going to be the quarterback for the Raiders as well. They thought
they've been trying to get rid of Carr for like 3 or 4 years, and he's still there. He's still
didn't have that
slinging the rock. So
leadership quality, or just couldn't get them over up to that next level. But then here he is
on and off the field. Showing who he is. So shout out to Derek Carr. Sean, Broncos fan.
Yeah, probably the biggest. Well, it was the only real big trade for the trade window for it closing. None of the other big deals went down. No Deshaun Watson movement. No OBJ, Brandon Cooks. None of there's a
Marlon Mack.
Yeah, Marlon Mack. There's a whole bunch of receivers and skill positions essentially on the clock, but none of them on the block. None of them actually got traded. The only one was Von Miller. He got traded to the LA Rams for a 2nd and 3rd round pick. So good enough return I think for Von Miller, but. It kind of signals where Denver's season is at and where they think it's going.
Do you think that's unders for Von Miller, a 2nd and a 3rd rounder? Well, he is getting on a little bit.
Yeah, he's 33-ish, I think now. If not 34.
32, yep. So getting to the pointy end of an outside linebacker's career.
His last season's been a little bit banged up this season, struggling a little bit, but then I think Denver's front's been struggling overall. But they sent him to, they didn't send him to no shit club. They were like, hey.
They're trying to help the Rams win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Go to the Rams, and potentially win another Super Bowl, finish out your career. The Rams only got him essentially on a loan, so he's on not a loan, he'll see out the rest of the season, but his deal's ended.
Yeah.
And everyone's joking like he loves Denver, and potentially they could bring him back at the end of the year, like on a different deal.
Go try and win a ring and come back.
Exactly. Like there's always that thought. Rarely does that ever happen, but they've done him a solid, sent him to a great club. He's already talking about Aaron Donald gets triple teamed. I've been triple teamed for the last 6 years. So
that defense is scary. Jalen Ramsey running around. He's, I think, the best corner in the NFL. And Aaron Donald, obviously, the best defender in the NFL. So that defense is coming along. It's weird seeing the Rams with Stafford, how much better they are. And no knock on Jared Goff, but this is just me pumping up the tires of Matt Stafford being stuck at Detroit his whole career, and got a little bit going with Megatron early on, but people kind of slept on how good a quarterback he is. I think until this year. Yeah,
definitely, and to that end, Monks, if you can find for me how many draft picks they got in the upcoming draft. I believe they've only got one.
Yeah, so it's all the chips are in.
Yeah,
it's this year.
What's the GM for the Rams? I think it's Les something. But either way, he's been known for the meme, the fuck them picks, because he keeps trading them away. They don't make very many picks. But they've gone with proven talent over, trying to get a generational talent in the lottery that is the draft.
Yeah.
All the jokes about fuck them picks because he traded around way a second and third. They don't have their first. I think they've only got like a 5th round pick or something.
Yeah, right.
In the upcoming draft.
They've got 4 draft picks next year.
And they'll all be late.
Yeah. 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 5th. So the 3rd one was through the Miller trade. 5th, they've always held on to, and they have 2 in the 7th.
2 7th rounders. Ooh. You might be able to find a young Tom Brady there.
Poor scouting department over in the rounds. They do all that effort. It was like, we don't have any picks, sorry.
Mate, I'll just have the feet up, play a little bit of fucking Game Boy or something.
Yeah, that's going to be an easy job.
Yeah, that's right.
So, interesting how the Rams are going. I think they're going to be pretty good. Von Miller with one-on-ones for a change. I think he was going to look forward to that.
Yeah, big time.
Aaron Donald, if they have to slide coverage and start, moving their blocking schemes, he's going to love that. So we'll have to see how that, makes their overall front 7 better going forward. So the final point, I guess, the biggest travesty for Denver fans is in the last 3 seasons, we got 5 total games of Bradley Chubb and Miller. So
wasn't meant to be.
No,
it wasn't meant to be.
They always talked about how, in those 5 games they were pretty dominant. Like what that could have been. 15 sacks either side.
In 5 games?
Well, no, but the idea, Chubb could finish with 15 in a year, Miller could finish 15. That kind of pass rush coming from either side. What could have been never happened, and then we've got to take it as it is. Chubb, of course, still hurt for us.
Yeah, wishing him all the best with his recovery. He's had a very slow start to his NFL career, ravaged by injury. The other massive story to come out of this week, and for me as a Packers fan, don't really want to spend too much time talking about this. So Aaron Rodgers has COVID. Problem is he's not vaccinated, despite back in July, was it August?
Training camp.
Yeah, training camp. He very carefully used the word immunised to state his vaccination status. Turns out he hasn't had either of the vaccines. Rather, I was joking before pre-show with you boys, and I thought, maybe he's on that Joe Rogan shit. Turns out he is on that Joe Rogan shit. Actually hit him up for what Joe Rogan was on.
Some advice.
Did you read somewhere that he thinks he's allergic to and can't receive what's in the vaccine? Or do you think that's a little bit of bullshit?
Hard to say. He says he's got an allergy to an ingredient that's in both the vaccines, and the one he could take, Johnson & Johnson's one, they pulled because of the clotting issue. So he couldn't actually take any of the vaccines. Take with that what you will, but there's a lot of interesting chat and conversation going on about Rodgers. Of course, he's COVID. Since he's unvaccinated, he can't play for 10 days.
Yep.
He's got to get all those negative. Well, he's got to get over COVID, and 2, get the negative tests. Which means Jordan Love's going to be playing for the Packers this week.
Love time. The love muscle. We'll talk about that
in a minute.
A big matchup against the Chiefs incoming. Monks has got the exact quote there. Appeared on Pat McAfee, which I kind of like. Like, he's kind of fucking mainstream media. Yeah. Like, he's running down this, I might have... Yeah, let's say it. I might have lied about my vaccination status, but fucking Fox or CNN or whichever way you watch,
would have murdered him.
They would have murdered him, but they flat out lie about everything. So good on you, Aaron. In that terms, come down the dark web, the Joe Rogan way, and he went on Pat McAfee. And what do you have to say, Monks?
Yeah. So there's probably 2 quotes to reiterate here. So he said, "I'm not an anti-vaxxer or a flat earther. I have an allergy to an ingredient that's in the mRNA vaccine." So that's the Pfizer and the other one,
Moderna.
Yep. I found a long-term immunization protocol to protect myself. So that's probably that immunization that he's talking about. And I'm very proud of the research that went into it. And then further on, he said, "I believe strongly in bodily autonomy and ability to make choices for your body, not to have to acquiesce to some woke culture or crazed group of individuals who say you have to do something. Health is not a one-size-fit-all for everybody."
Interesting, man. He like all the stuff that's happened in the off season. He's playing hardball with everyone these days. He was playing with the Packers. He's playing obviously, with these vaccine mandates that the NFL has. Let's just talk. Let's just touch on it quickly. Obviously, we're all double vaxxed. We're in one of the most vaccinated places in the world here in Canberra, Australia. I do find it a bit weird that there's these vaccine mandates for sports people. Like I get what they're trying to, they're trying to minimise their risks but the NFL, they don't care about the players. They care about the money. They care about
we want you to play so we make money.
Yeah, we've the big one in the NBA at the moment is Kyrie Irving. It's just a weird time that we live in where
Rogers definitely saw during training camp what Beasley and Hopkins were going through, and he was like, I don't want fucking any of that.
Yeah, but but the deceit around that, because they were very open in saying it's against our beliefs. We don't want the vaccine. I think Kirk Cousins is unvaccinated. But then there was this protocol brought in that unvaccinated players had to state that they were unvaccinated and then go through different rules, wearing masks in interviews, wearing masks on the sideline, of which Aaron's done nothing. Yeah, none of that. Rather,
none of the wearing of the mask.
None of the wearing of the mask. So then there's a whole another kettle of fish into he has essentially gotten away with not adhering to these protocols for the first 8 weeks of the season. Can the NFL come down hard on him there?
Well, the NFL also knew he was unvaccinated. They knew his status because he'd applied and said, "Hey, this is my." What did he call it? Immunisation protocol.
Yeah, which included monoclonal antibodies and ivermectin, like literally the Joe Rogan cocktail.
And the NFL was like, nah, that doesn't apply. So they told him your status is still unvaguys So they knew about it. So they were.
So the NFL's sweeping up for him as well.
Exactly. Like
poor Nuke and Cole Beasley. Like you guys are good players. Like Cole, cracked the top 100 this year. Yeah, good on you. Nuke, obviously, one of the best receivers in the NFL, if not the best. Yeah. But you're not Aaron Rodgers. Is what the NFL said.
Pretty much, yeah. Like Aaron's up there with Tom Brady. That's like the Mount Rushmore of your big name stars.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah. So
Mount Rushmore. That might be one for a later episode. The Mount Rushmore of NFL players. It's this whole pen. I spoke about it before. It's different rules for different people, isn't it? We've seen it, throughout the last 18 months in this strange world that we live in. Alas, enough about vaccines and COVID. I don't really like talking about it that much, and it gets me really fired up. Let's talk about some football, something that we may know a little bit more than, vaccine mandates and health and, doing your own research.
We don't take help advice from us.
That's right. Or football advice for that matter. Moving forward, we did have a Thursday night football game yesterday between the Jets and the Colts. Not a huge one in terms of where these teams are.
High scoring though.
Very high scoring. Like to see some points put up. The Colts, they jammed it down their throat. 260 rush yards. They had 100 just in the first quarter. That offensive line is one of the best in football. Jonathan Taylor had 172 rushing yards and 2 touchdown day. Did you see? I caught most of this.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I wanted to say back to your point before, what you were saying a second ago about not a huge game. It's actually pretty important for the Colts now with the Titans losing Derrick Henry. They are now at 4-5, I believe. They're one back from memory in the division. Like they've only, they went 0-3 and then they went 3-2. Now winning this game, they're really starting to come into their own a little bit, and maybe they can chase the Titans too. So it was important to get a win here. They did leak some points to the Jets.
Concerning because this defense is meant to be pretty good. Darius Leonard, he's a stud. He had another punch force fumble, which led to points. I think the Colts have the most turnover points in the NFL this year, and unfortunately for the Jets, that their star of last week's upset win against the Bengals, Mike White, he suffered an arm injury after they looked pretty good in their first drive. And then journeyman Josh Johnson came in. Have you seen how many teams this bloke has played for?
Most of the leagues.
Yeah.
He's been around.
He's been around 8 starts. Yeah. 8 starts in his career. I think he's 36. He actually didn't look too bad. I think he threw 3 touchdowns, 300 yards.
He had 40 plus passes in this to try and, of course, chase down some points. And did get the 3 tutters, as you say. Mike White, looked good, getting that early touchdown to Elijah Moore. Looked like they were going to be in a good competitive game. Colts blew them out in the second quarter, and it took Johnson a little bit to get going. And then that second half, they started to fire a bit. Of course, went heavily away from the run game and just were slinging it around. See how they'd go. And, 75 points in a game, that's a pretty good outing, I think, for a Thursday night football, especially with the Jets coming into that. You weren't expecting too much. So it was a good game of good football, but the team that we thought would win, the Colts, did end up getting the win in this one.
You guys get your tips in? I made sure to get my tips in and get the Colts. It can be one to forget sometimes, the Thursday night. That's brought me undone, I should say, in the past. Let's go. Have you got the scoring? So that's what you've brought up there is the actual points scored on defense. I think that what I saw was like when they get a turnover, they finish it. I think they've scored like 77 points after a turnover rather than actual defensive touchdown.
Turnovers leading to points. Yeah.
Correct.
Which is what you want. You want to convert your turnovers.
Yes.
Let's move into the Sunday early games. We might breeze through this one. The Texans take on the Dolphins. I think they're pretty two different 1-7 teams. The Texans may be the worst team in football, although the Detroit Lions might have something to say about that. They got belted by the Rams last week. I think Miami are better than their 1-7 record suggests. They had two close losses just by a field goal to the Jags and the Falcons. They weren't too bad against the Bills last week. And with the whole Rodgers immunised gate, I've lost my fantasy quarterback and I've brought in Tua. So
I'm surprised he didn't go to Jordan Love.
I was thinking about it. I was definitely thinking about it. We'll see how it goes. The Chiefs' defense is pretty bad. I was definitely thinking about it. But in his first NFL start, I don't know. I went to. I was tossing up. Between those two, and I think I picked up that man Derek Carr in my other leagues to fill in for Rodgers. Boys, tips here. We don't want to dwell too long in this game unless you had any final points.
I think Finn's, Mars, can you check if Tyrod Taylor is back for the Texans?
Yeah.
I think he may be back this week.
There's. I had heard some noise around him coming back. You'd think they're a bit better with Tyrod, but it's not like...
They were better at the start of the season with him.
Yeah.
They could score points.
It's not like Deshaun Watson coming back, though. It will help them. I don't think Davis Mills has been bad considering how bad that offensive line is. He's under duress a lot of the time, and they leak points in their defense, so they're always chasing. But yeah, I've gone the Finns here. Any news around Tyrod?
Still might be
on IR.
Okay. So, he won't be. It would have had to activate him off IR, so it'll be Davis Mills to get the start there.
Confirmed Thursday that he will start Sunday's game against Dolphins.
Yeah,
we're on this morning, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, he might be. They can activate him like Sunday morning.
Activate him, yeah.
And he can play straight away. Like as long as they activate and put him straight on the roster, he can play. So
yeah,
he currently sitting on injury reserve, but it looks like he will be their starter. So.
Yeah, he's literally listed as on injury reserve, but will start the game.
I can see why that was confusing for you.
Yeah,
Fins for me.
Fins here.
And I've gone Fins as well. Suspended market.
Suspended market.
Oh, I wonder if that's because of Tyrod.
Maybe. Anyways, I think we've spoken enough about that one.
They obviously think he might add a little bit of juice to him if they suspended the market on it.
Fucking sports bet.
Anyway, the next matchup we've got is the Denver Broncos taking on the Cowboys, the 6-1 Cowboys 4-4 Denver. Denver, of course, getting a win last week against the Washington football team. Melvin Gordon got a touchdown. We did block two field goals. Their kicker, though, kicks it a bit low.
Blew it.
Blew it.
He's had 4 blocked in his first 2 games.
Yeah,
I wonder if he's still on that roster.
No, he's either going to have some technique changes need to be done and get some elevation because, the way he kicks it at the moment, a bit too low. What was that? Chase Young?
Oh, yeah. Chase Young. He forced a fumble and gave the football team the ball back in the dying seconds.
30, 40 seconds.
Were you worried at that stage? Or?
No, I was like, this is typical Denver shit there. So I was like, we'll see how we go. But, hey, we got away. We got the win in this one. Cowboys, of course, coming off a win against the Vikings with no Dak. Cooper Rush did pretty well for them, 24 for 40, 300 plus yards, and he 2 dudders with 1 intercept. Murray Cooper got a bulk of that.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of been very quiet since that week 1 game where he went nuts against the Bucks. Did you see that bobbling catch that he had down the sideline? It looked like a Madden one, like a Madden glitch, where it's like hit the cornerback and then came off like a helmet, and then he bobbled it like 3 times and then got it. Like, if you're playing Madden and that happens, it's fucking bullshit. But an interesting matchup here. Going to be hard for Denver. You'd think the Cowboys are rolling. I think they are Dem boys this year.
Yeah. I think if Denver's only chance is if Dak's not playing again. But I think by all accounts, it sounds like Dak's going to play in this one. So I think you got to back the Cowboys with where they're at. And with what Denver did during the week, they've kind of signalled where they're at for this season.
Yep. I agree. Cowboys here. Monks, tips and odds, please.
Yep, I've gone Cowboys as well. They are favourites, $1.20. Broncos are out at $4.60. Yeah, I believe Prescott is.
That's good to go.
It's good to go, yeah. We do have a line of 9.5 and total match points of 48.5.
Wouldn't mind the overs there. I suppose the question will be, can Denver score enough to take the overs there? You'd think the Cowboys go up. But again, the Cowboys just played a defensive grind against the Vikings, who both of those offenses are pretty good. So, I don't know, 48's a few points. I might be leaving that alone, but I think the Cowboys get the job done.
Yep.
Vikings-Ravens, battle of the 2 purple teams. We just spoke about the Vikings losing that close one to the Cowboys. They the defense didn't look the best. They allowed 419 yards, but just at 20 points. And the Ravens are coming off the bye, and they're at 5-2. So the AFC North is looking pretty spicy.
Yeah, it's very close.
Hard one to pick here. I've gone the Ravens in Baltimore. I do think the Vikings are better than 3 and 4 suggests. But I think the Ravens, fresh off the bye at home, get the job done.
Yeah, and they're coming off that loss to the Bengals, aren't they? So they've had a lot of time to prepare for a revenge game, because I think they were embarrassed in that one.
They were embarrassed.
So they're going to come out really strong on this one. So, yeah, I've gone Ravens to take down the Vikings.
Yep. I've gone Ravens as well. The odds probably suggest it's going to be a little bit more one-sided. So they are favourites $1.38. Vikings are out at 3.05 at the moment. We've got a line of 6 and total match points of 50.5.
Jeez, another high-scoring game there. I think the Ravens at $1.38 is pretty good value.
Yeah.
Patriots, Panthers, both teams are 4-4. The Pats coming off that upset over the Chargers. We had a few weeks ago saying we were speculating whether the Chargers are the best team in the football. That's a big old Esky curse. 2 losses and a bye since then. And with all the focus on Buffalo in the AFC East, Belichick's just been doing his thing, hasn't he?
I just wanted to point out, we also said the Bengals were a playoff team and then they lost to the Jets. So.
They still are a playoff team. And just speaking quickly on Cincinnati, I'm in like a survivor league, and like half the league was on that Bengals Jets game, and like a pick 'em, you just have to pick one team to win each week, and it wiped out like half the league. Yeah. So thank you very much there, Cincinnati, and the Esky curse. It's a real thing. But back to New England and Carolina. Carolina broke a 4-game losing streak, much like Denver, with a win against Atlanta. That was a defensive scrap. Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson took some big licks in that game. CMC is off IR, but not expected to play in this. Have you got any info on that? I think it is Chuba Hubbard that's expected to get the start.
Old Hubba.
Hubba.
Pretty much the same as last week, day-to-day sort of thing, situation. So Matt Rule says they'll be reevaluated over the weekend, see whether or not we reinstated from IR.
But he's currently still on IR.
Yeah, it looks like he's still on IR.
Okay. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Time will tell. If it's not this week, it seems like it might be next week. Anyways, we do have this game here, which is very interesting. 2 teams that are both pushing to make playoffs. I think the Patriots. The Patriots get this done. I think they're going in the right direction. I think Carolina's going in the wrong direction. Sean, you're nodding your head in agreement.
Yeah, I agree. Pats for me, and Mac Jones doing a really good, solid job for them over there.
He was your pick as the best QB coming into this year, or the most NFL ready, perhaps, in terms of the system that he was going into.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's looking pretty good. It doesn't turn the ball over a lot.
No, which is exactly what you need from your quarterback.
Exactly.
That's it. I've gone Patriots as well. They are favourites, $1.50 at the moment. Panthers are out at $2.63. We have the line of 3.5 and total match points of 41.
Very, very low there on the total match points. I don't know if $1.50 is enough to entice me on the road against Carolina.
I think that total match points might be a little bit one you could look at.
It's very low
because it's low,
and you can go alternate match points as well. So, say if you wanted to drop it down to $1.70, you might get 36 points or something.
Pats put 54 points on the Jets a week ago.
They did.
So
they did.
They can score some points, and Panthers can score some points. Like I think that might be a good one to look at.
Man, might have to build a little Esky bet. Listening back and put a little multi on. One that should be very one-sided.
Yeah, how much are the Bills going to fuck the Jags this week?
Yeah, I'll be very interested in the line here. Josh Allen, he is a legitimate shout for MVP. 249 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 55 with the legs and a rushing touchdown. Cole Beasley had his best game of the year so far. He's been a little bit quiet considering the year that he had last year, but he had 10 catches for 110 yards. And my boy, Emmanuel Sanders, put up a donut. He'd been pretty good for my fantasy team.
Getting that OBJ treatment.
Yeah, getting that OBJ shit, getting no looks. But yeah, they didn't need him, and they got a pretty scrappy win really over Miami. The Jags lost quite badly in Seattle. Geno Smith led the Hawks to the win there. The question is, what's the line going to be, and what are you? What's the head start you're giving them, even at home?
A lot.
17 points maybe.
Yeah.
Obviously all Bills.
What's
the odds in the line?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, pretty one-sided. Bills are favourites, $1.09 at the moment. The Jags are out at $7.50. Total match points, 48.5, and that line is 14.5.
See, I'm taking the Bills with that. I know it is away. They've just played Miami away in a game where you kind of thought Miami kept it, amicable, and they still won by 15 points.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm probably taking that.
Yeah, they should put Bills with us. They should put the Jags to the sword. I think the Bills will.
Agreed. Browns and Bengals in a big AFC North matchup here. The Browns coming off a loss to the Steelers. Odell Beckham Sr. went nuts on Instagram. He posted an 11-minute video of OBJ getting wide open and not thrown to, or Baker missing him, essentially having a crack at Baker. I think the subtitle was something like, not OBJ's fault, it's Baker Mayfield. So it was a full stab at Baker. The backing music was just 11 minutes of everybody hurts sometimes. So look, I don't know what that is going to do in benefit your son, to be honest. He was released today by the Browns. A lot of speculation as to where he might end up. The Lions seem to be interested. I hope he doesn't go there, because we all know what happens to careers at Detroit.
Yeah, well, I think he'll go to a team that'll, can deal with that. It's the ego, essentially.
Yeah.
You got to manage. There's a management component to OBJ now that teams will be well aware of. So he has to go through waivers. So that's why we talk about Lions. They're probably number one on the waivers. So if they put in a request, they could be allocated him.
Don't let that happen, football gods, please.
Yeah, well, the Lions might be like, hey, we don't want that mess to come in, and we're trying to win a game. We do want to get further away from that.
I do wonder if the ego kind of thing plays into it that much. He has been a little bit banged up the last few years. Shout out to Macca, Esky contributor, had him in his top 10 receivers for last year. He's got all the talent in the world. We know
he's talented.
Yeah, so might just be trying to manage what's going on between the ears. But
well, there's a storyline attached to it. So you got to be the team willing to pick up that storyline and to bring that on. Like if you got a young quarterback that you're trying to get going and trying to work on, maybe that's not the right situation to bring that kind of voice into the club. the more the talks about, Ravens, Packers, Raiders, but they're all down towards the bottom of the waiver order.
Yeah.
So he's got to go through a lot of teams to get to there. Maybe no team picks him up on waiver and then he'll be free to sign. But the Browns did brought his deal down through a signing bonus so that they had less money allocated to him. So he's on a very cheap deal. So it really opens it up for a team to put in a waiver request. But we'll have to see what happens to make that done.
Yep. And the Browns are 4-4, so on a little bit of a slide. The Bengals, we just did mention losing to the fucking Jets last week. The Jets have beaten the Titans and the Bengals. Yeah. So something they turn up some days, and then some days they get destroyed, like we saw a few weeks ago by the Patriots.
Yep.
The Bengals, their offense, they couldn't establish the run. Jamar Chase did find the end zone, but was held to 32 receiving yards. Do the Bengals bounce back from this one and go and get a win? I say yes. I'm gonna go the Bengals here. The Browns before the season started, we kind of thought Browns and Ravens in the AFC North. No one really thought that the Bengals were going to be 5-3 halfway through the year. I think the Browns. They're just on a bit of a slide. I've gone Cincinnati to take this one.
I've gone the opposite.
Yeah.
I've picked the Browns. And, now free of OBJ, it wouldn't surprise me if Baker to send a statement throws 400+ yards.
You reckon?
Yeah.
It's not if Peoples-Jones finds fucking the end zone twice for 180 yards or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I've backed the Browns in this. They've got Chubb back, and hopefully they'll go back to their pounding their rock.
Yep.
And that'll set up Baker with the pass game. So
yep. And that Browns defense is good. Let's not.
It's going to be a good competitive game. You go either way on this.
Yep.
I keep saying I think the Bengals are probably still a year away. I think losing to the Jets probably confirmed that for me. That they're still a year away. They need one or two more pieces to really do a really deep, cement themselves as a playoff team and go real deep. Whereas I think the Browns have more of those pieces. They are just banged up. So either way, I think it's going to be a good game.
We speak about Cleveland's defense being good. I think Cincinnati needs a bit of help on defense. Yeah. They allowed 34 points to the Jets, so they scored 31. That should win you. You shouldn't lose games when you score that many points. So maybe look at recruiting or drafting some defensive talent because between Burrow, Mixon, and Chase, that offense is looking pretty good for the years to come.
Oh, definitely.
Tip and odds, please.
Yeah, I was on the fence. I think I was tipping Bengals, but I've just changed to the Browns.
Any reason?
Yeah, inside information down the end of the table?
No, not really. I think, Mayfield...
You generally get these right when you just go, just flip of a coin.
That's it. I guess, Mayfield back. Browns probably haven't been playing the greatest football the last couple of weeks.
No.
Hopefully he does, do some things to lift him up. Is it a close game? So Browns are underdogs by only $2.10. The Bengals are $1.74 at the moment. Mm-hmm. We've got a line of 2.5 and total match points of 47.
Oh, that's a few points. I wouldn't be touching any of that, to be honest.
No.
Just wouldn't mind seeing a good game.
Yeah.
Falcons and Saints. The Falcons, they lost to the Panthers last week. Matty Ryan threw 2 picks. Cordarrelle Patterson, he found the end zone again. He is running back 8 in fantasy. He has 7 touchdowns. The resurgence is unbelievable. I did mention last week that I had abandoned poor Mike Davis. I dropped him, and I think shout out to Michael Dawson. I'm playing against him in fantasy this week. Picked him up, so I'm playing against Mike Davis. Probably watch him go off this week.
200 yards. Did you see Patterson's comment during the week?
No.
He said, if my mum can have 3 jobs, I can play 3 roles.
Yeah.
Or play 3 positions.
It's unreal. The dude was literally a kick returning specialist, and then all of a sudden they managed to turn him into...
Well, he still had talent. He was a first-round pick by the Vikings back in the days.
And he's actually quite large for a kick returner. 6'2".
He was big for a wide receiver. So
yeah. So that's probably why whoever on the offensive side of the ball, the Falcons gone, maybe we can do something here, make him into this Swiss Army knife. But yes, just putting up numbers every week. The Saints, they had that unbelievable win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the sad news out of this was Jameis Winston did his ACL. It was like a horse collar tackle from Devin White. Was there any sanctions brought in on White, Monks? Did you
not
hear?
that I saw, no, yeah.
So, look, obviously not his intent there. But, Jameis will be on the sidelines for the rest of the year. And enter Trevor Simeon. You saw a bit of him at the Broncos. Led them to the win against Brady and the Buccaneers. The Bucks are 1-3 against the Saints in the Tom Brady era. The Saints defense, they just ball. That you can't run on them. And on top of that, they had a forced fumble, which they recovered, 3 sacks and 2 picks, including PJ Williams with the one to ice the game. Apparently, Michael Thomas is done for the year. Have you heard anything about this, boys?
I'm not sure if done for the year, but he re-aggravated. He's got ankle, isn't it?
Yeah, ankle. Which is from like week 2 of last year.
Yeah, well, I think they opted against surgery, then needed surgery, and then I think he's had issues with infections and then with the surgery. So, it's really tough run for him. He had another setback, which could push him out another couple of months. They might, even just shut him down and say, heal up, son. We'll see you next year.
So Thomas himself announced on his own Twitter that he probably won't be playing this season. So
he did. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess it depends on the procedure and how he recovers medically, but he's ruling himself out.
We talk about missing 2 years in the NFL. Mike Thomas put up, record-breaking year in 2019, and now just plagued by this one pesky injury. So hoping that he can get on top of it and come back like the old Mike Thomas next year.
Yeah, he may potentially be waiting for a quarterback as well because he's missing his boy Drew. Because it looks like Taysom Hill, I think, is going to be the starter in this one.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Coming back
from that,
injury.
Simeon. You come in. The QB1's done his ACL. I think Taysom was unavailable last week, and Simeon comes in and leads them to.
I think Taysom's been dealing with a concussion. So.
A win against the defending Super Bowl champs, and then back to the pine. Sorry, mate. Done your job.
That's it, yeah.
The other big news in this match, the Falcons just put Ridley on to PUP, at least for 3 matches. Ridley, I think, struggling a little bit with his mental health at the stage, and just needed to get away from the game, which does cause a bit of a big issue for the rest of the receiving core because they then end up doubling or tripling Pitts, and then the other guys can't get open, which becomes a little bit of a problem. They were stifled last week, the Falcons, which of course helped force Matty Ice to throw a couple picks. So I don't like their chances at all in this one against that Saints D.
I agree. Very difficult for Matty Ice to go from having Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley to having neither in the space of 12 months. Wishing Ridley all the best. Good on him to step away. Sometimes, it is more important to focus on yourself than it is just a game. But hopefully that he can come back to being a star in the league and get on top of his mental health. I agree in terms of this game. I think the Saints will be heavy favourites. I imagine we all go on the Saints. The line may be more interesting than the head-to-head.
Yep. So the Saints are favourites leading to the matchup. They are $1.35 at the moment.
That's cash at home. That's safe, I think, as a house.
For anyone who's wondering, Falcons are out at $3.20. The line is 6. Total match points is 41.5.
I would take the overs. I would take New Orleans with the line, and I would take them. You can't take them with a line and head-to-head. I'd take them line and overs.
Line and overs.
The final little note on the story on this, Philip Rivers came out during the week and said, hey, Sean Payton, if you need someone, give me a ring. So
I see that. It is hard to feed 11 kids, I suppose. So.
That high school coaching job.
Yeah, that's right. So that'd be well, we'll get to Adrian Peterson in a second, but it wouldn't be all that surprising if Philip Rivers made a comeback.
Well, he did say at the start of the year when Wentz got injured, it was like, hey, I'm committed to the high school, to the team, and when their season finishes, I might consider it, which I think is in November. So
imagine that. Imagine that a high school team going, our season is more important than Philip Rivers going to get $10, $15 million.
Yeah, but the season should be coming close to an end, and if that's the case, Philip Rivers has got nothing to do. So
imagine that.
Imagine rolling straight back into picking up a 5-2 or potentially 6-2 Saints team to roll into. Anyway,
he's a competitor, man. He's definitely. Yeah, he'll go down as one of the best quarterbacks to not win a Super Bowl. Unless he wins one with the Saints this year. Yeah. Time will tell. The Raiders going up against the Giants. The Raiders coming off the bye, but obviously the Henry Ruggs tragedy.
Yep.
How they recover from that, time will tell. They did win after the John Gruden sacking in a game where no one really expected them to.
Yeah, sacking a coach, though, the different juju. So I'm not so sure this is going to give them the lift they need.
No, it'd be hard for everyone involved. The Giants actually were very respectable in Monday Night Football against the Chiefs at home, a packed Arrowhead. They only just went down 20-17. I think Saquon's been moved to the COVID list. Poor fella. We did see his ankle swell up like a balloon a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Apparently the ankle is getting there, and now he is on the COVID list. Monks, have you got any update on that? Did he get COVID, or is he a close contact? If you wouldn't mind trying to find that one out.
Giants otherwise are a bit banged up all over the place.
Receiver,
corner.
yeah.
I think they lost Peppers last week as well. So, yeah, they're a bit all over the place talent-wise. But who are you picking?
Raiders. I think despite the Ruggs tragedy, I think they're a pretty good football team. Unfortunately, having to deal with a lot of adversity this season. I've loved, I spoke about it before, Derek Carr and his leadership and his on-field play. I think the Raiders get the away win here.
So, earlier in the week, I did pick the Giants. So I put them on. I thought this would be the straw that finally breaks the Raiders back. They have to drop a loss somewhere and they have to coming down to earth. But then after seeing some of the comments from Carr yesterday, I've kind of maybe switched my thoughts around and was like, hey, they've, he's definitely one to bring the team together and, of course, steal them together to potentially, they should go out and beat the Giants where the Giants are at. I haven't changed my tip. I still got it in there as a Giants. I might regret that, but that was where my two thinking is. I kind of can see both sides of the coin. But I think this will end up being a pretty close game of football.
Saquon news? Did you catch anything there?
So reports are that it was a false positive test.
That's right. I did hear about this.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think they've had...
That's big. I've got him in my other leagues, Saquon, and he's been riding the pine since that ankle injury. So could he be good to go, or is the ankle still...
No, he's still listed as out. He has been with the team. I don't know how much he's been practicing.
Yeah. False positives, man. Imagine missing a game because of fucking false positive.
Yeah, that's it.
Alas, if you wouldn't mind, you've got the deciding tip here. Sean reluctantly has gone the Giants. I've gone the Raiders.
Yep. I've actually gone Giants as well.
Okay. Some value around it by the looks.
Yeah, so they are underdogs leading to the match, $2.47. The Raiders are favourites, $1.55. We do have a line of 3.5 and total match points of 46.5.
I don't like betting on that, to be honest.
No.
But it'd be interesting to see what happens. Too many variables, I think. Too many variables in that one. Sunday, into the later games, we've got the Chargers taking on the Eagles. We spoke about the Chargers, us putting the Mickey on them, questioning if they were the best team in football a few weeks ago. Probably was a legitimate question a few weeks ago. It just shows how much can change in the league.
Not anymore.
In a few weeks. The Eagles, they were also listening to the Esky after, I think it was just me and you that tipped the Lions to
finally get off the donut.
Get off the donut. The Eagles were on a 2-game losing slide. They were at Detroit. Nope. They ran for 236 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. The defense went mental with 6 sacks. Jalen Hurts is showing that he can lead the team to victories without having to really throw the ball, which is the big question mark on him, I suppose, at the moment. The Chargers are a different beast, obviously, than the Detroit Lions. I have gone the Los Angeles Chargers here. I think they bounce back and get a win at Philly.
Yeah, same. I've picked the Chargers. Overall, I think the Chargers are a better football team. They should win this match.
The odds are quite close.
Yeah, the Eagles are just they turn up when you don't expect them to turn up.
against the Lions, which isn't saying much about what we think of them. But obviously, put the Lions to the sword last week. Just having a look at those odds, they are a little bit closer than I had expected. Monks, your tip and those odds, please.
Yeah, I have gone Chargers as well. They are favourites leading into the game, $1.79, only just with Philly out at $2.03. We have a line of 1.5 and total match points of 49.5.
I'd take the Chargers at that. I think that's pretty good value there. The big game, I suppose, for me as a Packers fan and maybe for all NFL fans, Packers at Arrowhead against the Chiefs. We obviously spoke at length about Aaron Rodgers being out. Jordan Love comes in, the first-round pick from last year. They've got the 10 days. So everything outside of Aaron Rodgers has been good. You know, they're coming off a win against the undefeated Arizona Cardinals. It's a long 10-day break. Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard are back off the COVID list. So everything's outside of the Aaron Rodgers immunised controversy is going the way of the Packers. The Chiefs, they did look scrappy, but they got the win against the Giants. They're 4-4. We saw Derek Gore get involved there at running back, and Tyreek Hill had a big game there. Mahomes just not quite looking like old Patty Mahomes.
Leads the league in picks, I believe, with 10 double digits. So
probably what he threw in the last 2 seasons combined.
Yeah. Well, I think the joke floating around is that Madden curse has finally built up and has now hit him. So there you go. The last two Maddens, he's been on the cover for both. So
double Madden curse.
Double whammy, and it's now coming home to roost. And he's been struggling. But overall, I think Chief D stinks. Their offensive line is really struggling, and Mahomes has only got really 2 receiving options, and teams are just doubling the shit out of them and forcing Mahomes to really have to push, force passes and push him into areas and like off platform as well.
Yep.
Which he's still really good at.
Like he was still doing Mahomes shit in this game, arm, no law.
Yeah, but they're forcing him to do that more regularly, which is going to lead to more mistakes, which it has.
Yep.
So I'm not saying they've figured him out, but they Chiefs, I don't think this is the year. Again, they probably need to retool, add to that offensive line, add to that defense, and help out Mahomes. Hey, they could do with an extra receiving option, maybe OBJ. Again, another team that could use some help at the wide receiver position.
Tip? I've obviously gone the Packers. I'm not super confident without Rodgers at Arrowhead.
Yeah, I think I went Chiefs with the switch. For I would have gone Packers with Rodgers, but I think with no Rodgers, I'll go Chiefs at home with a game that's probably going to have a decent score line, I reckon. Yeah,
you'd imagine some points. Both teams' defense not the best. Both teams can score on the offensive side of the ball. Expect a lot from Aaron Jones, you'd imagine, and maybe AJ Dillon as well.
They used him heaps in that Cards game. They wanted to pound the rock down their throat.
And that was with Aaron Rodgers. So with Jordan Love getting his first start in the NFL, I'd imagine both of those running backs have fantasy relevance this week.
Yes.
Monks, you've got the deciding pick here and the odds.
Yeah. So just back on Mahomes. So he has got 10 interceptions this season. Last season he had 6 for the whole season, and 2019 he only had 5.
So it's pretty close. So last 2 seasons he had 11, and then this year he's got 10. So not quite the old Patty Mahomes. I think a few of those picks weren't his fault. Like there was a couple that came out of receivers' hands and yada yada. But you can't really throw 10 picks and blame it all on everyone else. So not quite MVP Mahomes this year.
No, that's it.
Your tip and the odds. This is surprising how short the Chiefs are here.
Yeah. So I have gone the Chiefs. Unofficial sponsors, Sports Bet.
They might get the sack. I haven't heard from them in a while.
Yeah, true. Got to stop saying that. They have got no love for love. They've got the Packers out at $3.75.
Yeah, that's
Chiefs at $1.28.
Yeah. So Packers with the line, if you wouldn't mind. If you're giving me 10 points, I'd take that.
7.
Ooh, it's like they're professional gamblers or something.
It is. They must know something we don't know.
Total match points?
Total match points 48.
I'd take the overs. I reckon. Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon. I'd take the overs. It is high. Again, you could go at an alternate and drop it down to 44 or 45.
Yeah.
Just pick overs with Chiefs. They got to score points to win, and they lead points. So
after they just had a 20-17 win over the Giants.
Shush.
The Cardinals take on the 49ers in a massive NFC West matchup. We did just speak about them finally copping their first L in the desert on Thursday night. Kyler Murray is questionable. It'll be Colt McCoy who will step in if he's no good. You've got Kyler as your fantasy quarterback, so probably following it.
Yeah, so today the game day decision. Sounds like he's further along than Hopkins is. So it looks like Hopkins is potentially not going to play in this game.
Yep.
So that's probably the biggest news. Also, AJ Green's already out for them.
COVID list?
I think COVID, yes. Yeah. COVID for him because their team's been struggling with COVID a little bit of late.
Okay.
So
possibly looking at no Kyler, no Nuke, and definitely no AJ Green.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay,
that changes things.
Big time changes things.
Because I had a look at the odds for this game and I was like, what the hell, man? Like, way unders on the 49ers, I thought.
Because the 49ers on the other side, they've just come off a really good win against the Bears. Bears being Bears, though. But Jimmy G, 300 plus pass yards. Deebo Samuel has had an unreal year so far as well.
He's a top 5 receiver so far.
Yeah, as their top target. And then Eli Mitchell as well really chimed in, showing his pedigree as well with 18 touches for 137 yards and 1 tutter.
So, again, we're doing this Saturday morning. It won't be Monday morning till the game goes in our time, 48 hours. So these tips maybe take with a grain of salt. I'll go the Cardinals. But, yeah, if all three of those guys are unavailable, you'd think the 49ers are a big chance.
Yeah, flip it. I'd say if Kyler starts, you're probably all right for the Cards. But if he doesn't, then, yeah, maybe the 49ers should be your pick for this one. I think I've stuck with Cards so far on my tips.
Stuck with them. Monks has got the odds there that they've gone out to the underdogs. So
yeah,
insider trading
possibly. You'd think in this division they can't lose a game, especially to the 49ers.
They can't afford to lose it.
They can't afford to lose it. Yeah,
well, they're 7-1. They kind of can afford to. But again, you've got the Rams there that are also 7-1, and we did ask how the Seahawks done. Without Russ, it seems like he's got the pin out already in his finger. He
already passing supposedly. So.
Yeah, so he could be back sooner than expected, and they're 4-4. So I suppose you are right. Despite being 7-1, it's the NFL. You don't want to lose games. So your tip, please, and the odds.
Yeah, so I've tipped Cards as well.
Good old curse this one.
It is.
Three boys on an underdog.
See Colt McCoy come out and just smoke them.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it works the other way. Maybe when we all tip the favourites, they lose, but then when we all tip the underdogs, they win.
Well, Detroit were the underdogs last week, but that wasn't a full.
No,
that was just us two morons.
Yeah. Yes.
What's the odds? So Cards are underdogs at $2.10 at the moment. 49ers at $1.74. We've got a line of 2 and total match points of 45.5.
Don't like any of that. It's 2 days away and we don't know who's going to be playing. So just hope for a good game. Sunday night football, speaking of good games, we've got the Titans, they're 6-2, taking on those Rams 7-1. A big story and a sad one at that. He was on pace for all kind of records, but the king, he is human. Derrick Henry, he's got a Jones fracture in his foot. That is 5th metatarsal for boys playing at home on the outside of the foot. It leads to the pinky toe. You wouldn't think that would keep you out for a season. However, it's one of it can be a bit tricky in the healing, this fracture. It seems like he would need surgery on it. Although I personally don't think his season's done here. I think they still make a playoff run without him, and I think the beast that he is. You see how hard he trains. He's going to rehab the fuck out of it. I think we see him for playoffs, if not, the last couple of games. I don't think it's season done, but it's season changing. Obviously, he's going to miss a big chunk of football. You'd expect at least 6 to 8 weeks out with this injury.
Yep. Yeah. So following on from that, they had to sign some replacements, and then enter AB. Adrian Peterson is back
all day, baby.
Yes, and then of course they added Foreman as well, who's been in and out of roughly Texans, and he was somewhere else, which I can't remember for top of my head. Both big body running backs, so they know what they like.
And Jerry McNichols is the guy that is expected to start this week. We saw him in the preseason. They've been using him a lot in the passing game, but not really built for that scheme that they run there with Mike Vrabel, the pound the rock mentality. That I suppose
workload
they build that whole offense around a guy like Derrick Henry. So will they have to make some adjustments on the offensive side of the ball? Sure, you probably won't expect them to pound the rock as much. That brings AJ Brown into it. He started off the season a bit slow with some injuries. He had 10 catches, 155 yards, and a touchdown last week. I do think they mix it up a little bit here on offense. Could you imagine Adrian Peterson getting 20 handoffs a game at 36?
Well, he did it with the Lions when they picked him up. Was that last season or the year before?
He probably wasn't 20, but he was getting 15.
He was getting a good workload. So.
Yeah, and if there's anyone that can do it, like he is different. Like obviously one of the best running backs ever. If there's someone that can come in at 36, he's got the athletic pedigree to
didn't have
to
a great year with the Lions, but we're still Lions. Titans and their offensive line. I think Adrian Peterson will enjoy having that in front of him. Interesting to see how they use him in the season. I'm thinking, let's say this one maybe 10 touches.
Straight in and get 10 touches.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. Just see what he looks like with 10 touches straight up. The Rams, on the other hand, they smashed the Texans. It was 38-0 at three-quarter time, and then they sort of let in some garbage time points. Cooper Kupp, we talk about Derrick Henry being on pace for records. That's been taken away from him, but Cooper Kupp still on pace for some crazy numbers. Monks, have you got Cooper Kupp's 2021 numbers there? I think has he caught 10 touchdowns already?
He'd be very close.
He might be on double digits. Monks will chase that up. Have you heard anything about Von Miller? Is he expected to play?
Yeah, he should play
straight in.
He probably would have played against that Washington football team, but it sounds like they had this deal in the works. So they didn't want to risk him. But he's been at training. He's been training there. He's wearing number 40, which is the number he wore at Texas A&M.
Okay, bit of a throwback.
Yeah, a bit of a throwback for him. So he looks
after
like he'll
58 for a long time at Denver, was it?
Yeah, 58 at Denver. I think he's all good to go, and that defense is going to be unreal. I think Rams will win this. I think potentially comfortably as well.
I think the Rams as well.
Two touchdown lead.
I think the Titans. No, I'd go closer than that. Cooper Kupp, did you bring his numbers up? Yeah.
Yep.
Through what are we? 8 games.
Yeah, through 8 games, he's scored 10 touchdowns.
And receptions, receiving yards.
Receiving yards. Yeah, 924.
924 in 8 games.
Yeah. So last season through 15 games, he caught 974 yards and only 3 touchdowns.
So he's already eclipsed or smashed the touchdowns, and this week you'd imagine he eclipses the receiving yards. So on track for one of the greatest ever seasons by a receiver. But in terms of this one, I think the Rams get the job done. I think I'm a little bit more confident in the Titans keeping it close than Sean, but obviously a big ask with no Derrick Henry. Monks, your tip and the odds, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Yep. Before I get to that as well, Adrian Peterson last season was averaging about 10 carries per game. 37 yards per game as well.
So
take that as you will.
Average.
So
not a great average, but also Lions
against behind that Detroit offensive line. So maybe straight into 10, 12 carries a game here for the Titans.
Yeah. That being said, I've gone Rams as well. They are favourites $1.29. The Titans are out at $3.64. We have a line of 7 and total match points of 53.5.
Geez, that's high scoring.
That is high.
I'd say unders. And I would not surprise me if the Titans come out in this and their offensive image just gets blown apart. With that defense, they're not going to be able to pay on the rock, and they're going to go after Tannehill. He's going to have to force passes to AJ Brown. It wouldn't surprise me.
Who'll have Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're going to really struggle. I reckon they might struggle to score points.
Okay.
So I think the Rams will carry the load for the points. They'll definitely be able to score. But I reckon this will be go unders. That's my tip.
What was the line there, Max?
The line was 7.
7. Yeah. Maybe Rams with 7. Yeah, take that. But a massive matchup there for Sunday night football.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest games this week.
Indeed. One that's probably not on Monday night, although both teams still with a good sniff for making playoffs. The Chicago Bears are 3-5. They go to Heinz Field to take on the Steelers, who are 4-3. Justin Fields is probably coming off his best game of the year so far of his young career. 103 rush yards and that insane touchdown. I'm sure you boys caught that.
Yeah.
I think it might have been number one on SportsCenter on Sunday night. Made about 5 dudes miss, 6 dudes. Pocket collapsed. He went out right, double back around to the left. Just no one could tackle him, and he showed why the Bears believe he could be a franchise quarterback, at least with his legs. And he also threw for 175 passing yards and a touchdown. He did have a pick on a Hail Mary right at the end of the game. So Fields looking good. Khalil Herbert still looking pretty good there. Allen Robinson, a non-factor again. Poor bloke.
Didn't get traded, so
he was another one that there was a lot of rumours around him being traded. So it looks like he's stuck at Chicago, and we'll see a massive downturn in his numbers for the season. The Steelers coming off a win, gritty win against the Browns, 15-10. They, at the start of the year, we were kind of like, Big Ben looks old and slow, and I think all of that's still true, although their defence is pretty...
Their defense is good.
Fucking good. So,
and Harris has been excellent for them.
Najee Harris, how good has he been?
Yeah. He's maybe carrying that offensive load a little bit as well. So, definitely in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yep, definitely.
So, really helping Big Ben out, get into those situations that are a bit more manageable, and we can use a bit more of that shorter passing game as well. So.
I think they win here. I think they go to 5-3 and make that AFC North look very spicy.
Yeah, I agree. I've gone Steelers at home as well. Heinz Field, it's hard to go in there and win football matches. I've picked the Steelers for me.
Yep. I'll keep it quick. I've gone Steelers as well. They are favourites at $1.35. Bears are $3.22. We have a line of 6 and total match points of 39.5.
Jeez, that's low scoring. But I wouldn't obviously both teams renowned for defense, not offensive play.
Yes.
The bye teams this week: Buccaneers, Washington Football Team, Seattle, and Detroit Lions. All NFC teams there. Boys, that's the NFL hour. Well done. You know what, Monks? You brought a few beers. I might have a second one. What have you got there? You got a few.
I'm still struggling through this one.
Yeah. What have you got? You got a few fruity ones.
Yeah, I think I do.
Some
have a look for
liquid
me
breakfast for you.
while we start the final round. Ding ding, and it will be a long final round this week, admittedly.
A lot of little stories to throw in there.
A lot of little stories and some big fights.
Yeah, big fights. The big news, of course, is the UFC 267 was on the weekend. We have a new light heavyweight champion, Jan losing his belt to Glover Teixeira via rear naked choke in the second round. Becomes the oldest first-time champion in UFC history at 42. What do you boys think of that?
Unbelievable upset, really. All of us went Blachowicz, as did most of the fighting world. Yep. It was sort of hats off to Glover Teixeira just to be there at his age, let alone to go out and win it. I think we all slept on the ground game of Glover. Once you get into a grapple or a BJJ, match with him, he probably does have the upper hand. Mind you, Jan is a black belt in BJJ. Just shows, how good, these Brazilians are.
There's levels to it. So,
exactly. Yeah. There is.
And once Jan gave up his back, Glover was on him very quickly, got in that rear naked choke, and Jan tapped very, very quickly this as well. He wanted none of that. Knew he was done. So, of course, drops the belt. Glover's now got that. I think he's got, is it Yuri, who's the number one?
Yeah,
he's the...
So they haven't announced where this is going. They could run this straight back to show Blachowicz some respect.
Yeah.
Or Yuri Prochazka is looking unbelievable. They could just go Glover taking on Yuri. Now, at 42, how many fights left does he have in him?
True.
If he goes out there and loses the belt, do you call it a day?
Yeah, well, at that kind of point, you start thinking about fun fights, but you look at that division, there's not really a...
I don't think there's
fun fight, or big money fight.
Big money, yeah.
Sorry, is what I meant. So when I say fun from the aspect of a viewer, as in you want that that Jake Paul type of fight, as you will, something that's entertaining, like a big names. But
I'm glad we don't have any Jake Pauls in the UFC.
Yeah,
but I see what you say. John Jones was still fighting at light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to pick and choose and something that's big name, big money. But there's none of that in that division currently. You probably blame Jones for that, clearing out a lot of that division.
Because making dudes retire, really.
Yeah, because outside of Yuri, there's not a really good name there that.
We've got Alexander Rakic at 3, Anthony Smith at 4, Thiago Santos at 5.
Smith has started working his way back up, lost to Jones, Santos, lost to Jones, Dominic Reyes,
Jones
lost to Jones.
Beaten just about all these blokes. And then the guys that aren't on that list that lost to Jones have retired. And Enigma. And as well, how weird that Glover is 42 and is the light heavyweight champion when John Jones was 22 when he was the light heavyweight champion. John Jones is younger than Glover. Work that out. So that's a testament to how good John Jones is.
Oh, yeah. And he's, like we say, I don't want to say light heavyweight's probably one of the weaker divisions in the UFC, talent or big name wise. You can probably, again, blame Jones for that. Stifling all those guys coming through. He's killed off their momentum.
We watch a fair bit of UFC. That bottom end of the top 15 there in Jim Crute, Jamal.
Well, Jim Crute's the Aussie. He's a bit of an up and comer, but he's still, he's a long way.
They're not big names. Ryan Spann. These aren't big name fighters. Whereas say you go over to lightweight there and you've got a guy called Conor McGregor ranked 9th.
Well, lightweight's a killer at the moment. We'll talk about the upcoming Chandler and Gaethje fight. Same with middleweight. Those top 10 guys there, you've seen all those guys fight and
that top end of welterweight. I think you do have a point, and maybe it is the John Jones factor in that. After Jones, and we saw Blachowicz, who himself was 37 when he won the light heavyweight belt. You've kind of got the lower end of light heavyweight is lesser known guys.
Yeah, exactly. So they got to build up some talent there. So as you're saying before, Glovo, probably Yuri's. He's the guy he's not been fast tracked. He's done it the hard way, but he's the name that they're trying to build around.
He went about it in a funny way, Yuri Prochazka. He actually got offered a UFC contract a few years ago and turned it down because he didn't think he was good enough just yet. He wanted to keep working on his craft and make sure that he didn't come into the UFC, which is it's called Ultimate Fighting Championship for a reason. It's the pinnacle of this sport. Sure, we've got the PFL and Bellator and whatever, but everyone wants to get into the UFC. Prochazka actually took a step back and he said, no, I'm going to keep training. I'm going to keep fighting. Thank you, but I'll see you in a few years. And it did him, I think, a world of good. And has shot up through the rankings.
Yeah, well, he's had the 2 fights in the UFC, as Monk's just listed there, but Vulcan and then against Dominic Reyes, they're both ranked within the 10. Vulcan, I think, has dropped down now. And
we remember that fight against that Dominic Reyes had against John Jones, where he went 5 rounds and
arguably won that fight.
Won that fight. So for Prochazka to go finish him in 2 rounds shows he's immensely talented. So maybe Prochazka will get the shot here for the belt.
That's what they're angling for. So we'll see how long it takes before they turn that around. But that was the win in the light heavyweight division. Elsewhere, the Russians had a good night. Peter Yan defended his. Well,
it's interim.
It was not really a defense because he was meant to fight Sterling to get the belt back. Sterling pulled out. Jan defeated Corey Sandhagen. Really dominated the entire fight. Won 4 of the 5 rounds. Doing very much what he did against Sterling. With his boxing, his elite boxing, and his mixed martial arts just really took over this fight. Got the. As you say, the interim belt, I think Jan said afterwards that undisputed champion because he hasn't lost the belt. Because he lost, the disqualification,
of course. Picked his words.
Yeah, against Sterling. So that's the next fight to make. You got to unify that. And everyone's going to be talking about Sterling running from Jan at this point. So we'll see how they go from here.
Good on Sandhagen for taking this fight. I actually did think that fight against Dillashaw was possibly a little bit more recent than it was. 25th of July, I just looked that up. So three 3 and a bit months notice. 3.5, not notice, 3.5 months since his last fight, and a few weeks notice, really.
Yeah, but also coming off a loss to then get thrown straight into this.
Yeah.
He's still a big name there. TJ, of course, obviously didn't want it or didn't take it.
And an excellent bloke. I think I've mentioned it before here. I've listened to him on Rogan, follow on Insta. Like, he's just a bit alternative. He's I think he trains out of Denver,
Colorado.
He's really outdoorsy and quite articulate. So, commiserations to the Sandman and Peter Yan is, he's
really good.
Yeah, he's looking really good. Obviously Yan versus Aljamain Sterling is
has to happen
is the one that has to happen.
Yeah, either that or Sterling keeps dodging, they might strip him, and then TJ, like I said before, TJ's the next probably one there in the conversation.
And obviously the bad boy TJ coming out of 2 years out with the EPO. So this division's kind of cool. Like you've got
it's interesting.
You've got the good guy Sandhagen who's coming off a few losses, and the bad guy Dillashaw, and then you've got Jan who looks like he should be the champ, and what's going to happen with Sterling. So
lots of storylines.
Yeah, plenty of stories here.
And we'll talk about Frankie. I think Frankie Ager's still fighting that. He's old, but
I can have a look.
He's got a fight coming up tomorrow as well, and he's always floating around in the top of the division. Of course, losing to Sandhagen only recently as well.
And then the real star of UFC 267, let's be honest, little Hasbullah. He was in the octagon after the Islam Makhachev defeat of New Zealand's Dan Hooker. Got him into Kimura in the first round.
Short turnaround for Hooker as well. I think he fought 4 weeks ago. So within a month. So.
Yeah, I can give you the exact turnaround there. What about the Dagestani? Like unreal. I think I was watching a little documentary, I think I told you boys, a few weeks ago about Dagestan and the wrestling culture there. I think the population is like 2 million, 2.5 million. It's a tiny little state tucked down in the very far south of Russia, and they're just producing all these killers.
Yeah, and I think Khabib's really on Islam as well. Like, really, helps coach him, helps push him forward. So, thinking he could be big words to say he's the next Khabib, but that's what all the chat is.
Mate, well, he's 21 wins and 1 loss. Yeah. So,
and pushing his way through that lightweight division.
Yeah, just pushing his way up, isn't
Khabib has been.
I'll give you where Islam is in that lightweight division. 4. He goes up to 4. So only Dariush and then Gaethje, Poirier, Oliveira ahead of him.
Yeah.
So watch out for Islam Makhachev.
And I think Oliveira's already booked for Poirier, and then Gaethje's got Chandler this week. He potentially could get a winner of one of those fights.
And then I'll have a quick crack here at some of these names. They were all Russians. Alexander Volkov beating Marcin Tybura, the two big heavyweight boppers there. And then Khamzat Chimaev getting the win against Jing Liang, and Magomed Ankalev beating Volkan Ozdemir there in light heavyweight. So 5 Russian winners on the main card.
Yep.
Unbelievable. So we've got UFC 268. We just watched the weigh-ins there.
Everyone made up weight. I don't think there was any issues with that, so we're all good.
Yeah, it didn't seem. It's kind of hard when you're podcasting and sort of following no sound. Don't really know exactly what's going on. All I could see was Rogan in his bum bag and his pink Charlie Chaplin hat
and his pink jumper. It's because there was a few guys I think on standby for a couple of these fights, but it looks like all the main fights will go ahead. Of course, the big one, Usman versus Covington.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start at the top or go from the bottom?
Let's go from the top. Yeah, start from Usman and Colby Covington. Their second matchup. Obviously, Colby, a polarising figure, let's put it that way.
Plays a character, definitely.
Plays a character. He came out in this suit yesterday, which got likened to a rainbow paddle pop. And Usman himself, he was wearing the leopard. Yeah, they were both looking pretty loud. But yeah, Colby definitely plays a character. He's an excellent fighter. For one, let's not take that away from him. But he does have that WWE persona, bad boy, make America great, etc., around him. Whereas Kamaru Usman just goes about his business. The Nigerian Nightmare has two title defenses now? 3?
Maybe more. Because Kobe
Bring
and Masvidal are definite for 2.
And Burns?
Yeah, and Burns
That's
for 3. And there might have been a 4th one in there somewhere as well. Like
Monks, I'm sure, will chase that up. He is 19-1. He'll be heavily favoured in this one as well. Is anyone game enough to tip against Kamaru Usman? I'll bring up some odds.
Yeah, I think it'll be another elite fight between these two. They did go deep into the 5th round, but Usman's continued pressure and jab really took over the last fight, and Kobe kind of weared that down. I don't think he was happy Colby was happy too much with that stoppage, but he was getting beaten up. Do I see much different in this? Probably not. I think you're looking for another war here with maybe a late stoppage.
Usman is $1.30 and Colby Covington is $3.32. Did you chase up how many title defenses Usman has now?
Yeah. So he's got 4.
4.
Who was the 4th one that we missed?
So we had
Masvidal twice.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Masvidal was short notice. So, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously Burns and Covington.
Yeah, okay.
4 title defenses. I think he makes it 5. $1.30 there in the head-to-head. Monks, your thoughts?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know if $1.30 is too short.
Yeah.
For a fight between 2 blokes.
Yeah.
A championship fight.
A championship fight which went the distance went to the 5th round.
Yeah, went deep last time. Yeah.
Like you mentioned at the start, Covington's a good fighter. By all means, I think that's short for Usman. But yeah, definitely going to be interesting. The history between these two guys is just going to be electric.
Big time.
Yeah.
And then another title bout, we've got Thug Rose Namajunas running it back against Weili Zhang. We had kind of some weird lead up to this in the first one. Remember with it being billed against capitalism versus communism,
Yes.
kind of some interesting takes on it.
Yeah.
Rose obviously coming away with the win. When was that fight? About 9 months ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I feel like it was this year. So
It was definitely this year.
Yeah, and quite interesting. They ran this back straight away as well. Like I would have thought they maybe have had got Zhang to kind of work her way back into this a little bit more.
We've got Carla Esparza, Esparza, who's quite good, but then outside of that, obviously.
It's a bit quiet in that.
Yeah, a bit quiet, and to be fair, probably not our forte, the women's strawweight, going deep in that division. But Esparza and Marina Rodriguez, we've seen a fair bit of there. But
I think Mackenzie Dern's also
Dern's
on the rise.
But I'm not surprised they ran this straight back. It was massive, and the Chinese market. Dana thinks about dollars signs. Don't worry about that.
That is also true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these are the 2 biggest. Look at that list; they are the 2 biggest names left in that division. So, again, doesn't surprise me. I think Zhang maybe struggled a little bit with the mental game in the first one, and was probably a bit nervous in that fight. Rose, the Thug, has definitely been better coming back after her loss as well. Like I think she reinvented herself. Do I see anything different in this one? It's interesting that Zhang is favourite in this. But it is ridiculously close too. So I think this could go either way. But I'm probably going to back the champion. I'll stick with Rose for this one.
I'll go the Thug Rose here, but I'm very surprised at those odds, courtesy of our maybe on the outer, on the outer. Never got back to our DMs. Sportsbet's got Weili Zhang at $1.80 and Namajunas at $2. So pretty hard to split them, but Zhang a slight favourite. She's coming off an L. She's 21-2. So there's no denying who she is as a fighter. Monks, your thoughts?
Yep. So they last for 24th of April this year. So definitely not long ago.
7 months.
Yeah.
And they have neither of them a foot since.
I think they should both be pretty fresh.
Yeah, it's just a straight rematch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, just going back to the last fight, it was that was also the Usman Masvidal fight as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to pick. Probably even harder than the first one.
What was the result in the first one? It was Rose by TKO knockout, but what round?
First round.
First, yeah. So
Yep.
that's why I think Zhang really didn't get into that, and that's why I thought she was probably a bit nervous, and Rose really just picked her apart
Yeah.
early. So, hey, could all change. That Zhang's got power. We'll have to see. So Rose got power
Yeah.
for that size in that division. Very, very interesting.
Very hard one to pick, this one.
What other fights have we got on this card?
So,
And
Frank-
is it a pay-per-view? Because
Yes.
last week wasn't.
Yeah, well, it was a numbers, but I think it was a free pay-per-view. This one I think's a actual pay-per.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't know. ESPN's been doing some stuff. Of course, generating lots of money through the UFC. So with their plus, whether it was ESPN Plus, which is subscription, if you've got that, then it was free on that. I don't know.
But then we get ESPN Plus on KO,
yes. So,
I think.
yeah.
Us boys obviously always pay for a fight card and
Yeah.
do it the legitimate way.
Yeah. Yes.
Who else have we got on the main card here?
Frankie Edgar was the next fight, as
Yeah.
I mentioned. He's a little bit lower ranked than I thought he was at number 8 there, against Vary there. So
Marlon Vera's coming up.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Frankie Edgar's a fucking...
Frankie Edgar is old, so
Yeah.
hard to pick in this one. Maybe I'll go the veteran. Frankie Edgar, of course, coming off, I think, losses. I don't think he's had a win recently for him.
I'll go Marlon Vera. I think they're Ecuadorian here, just on a little bit of the youth card, although I don't know how much we can play that card considering the light heavyweight champion of the world is 42 years of age.
He's a heavy favourite there.
He's heavily favourite. I hadn't actually looked at that just yet, which is interesting. Yeah, Edgar coming off a bunch of losses, but yeah, obviously a staple in this division.
What division is this? This is in featherweight?
This is...
Because I'm looking at their weights there. Maybe Ferreira didn't make weight properly.
No, it's
Bantamweight.
bantamweight, the one below. No,
Yeah,
so not Volk's divisions like Sterling and Yarn.
Yeah, then Frankie's there at 142 and then 148 for... Isn't bantamweight 135?
It is 135. I don't know if that's right because
Well,
that's definitely what they're fighting.
Yeah, Mugs maybe you can find out in the background and see if Marlo didn't make weight and then Frankie didn't have to cut weight, which potentially is why they've given him such heavy favourite odds because he will be massive for their fight coming into this.
And then outside of that, I could just run through the other fights. We don't need to.
Well, the interesting enough, the fight on the bottom of this card. So there's another featherweight belt in the middle there, but the one we should probably talk about is Justin Gaethje taking on Michael Chandler down the bottom there, because that is 2-on-5 in the lightweight division, which is actually a big...
Which is weird. It's at the bottom of the main card, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got 8 and 13 at bantamweight, and then you've got 2 versus 5 at lightweight. So get up early if you're watching, because that will be a good one to watch.
Yeah.
There, yeah. Edgar and Vera are fighting at bantamweight, so up, which is weird.
Do you find anything, James?
No, nothing.
Sorry, down.
Yeah, it's lower.
Yeah.
Lower than what they were saying their way.
I feel like that graphic maybe is not right.
Yeah.
Although it is from the UFC website.
Yeah, the other weights have been spot on, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's been no news about not making weight.
Yeah, so I think that graphic's off.
Yeah.
Anyway, but talking about this Gaethje Chandler fight, that's actually going to be a barnstorm of a fight, I reckon.
Yeah.
Both have got excellent wrestling backgrounds, which potentially will cancel each other out, and they'll go for the stand-up. We'll have to see how that goes. We know Gaethje likes to have wars and bang bang, and Chandler came off out of the wrong end of a firefight with Oliveira in the last one. So I like Gaethje in this.
I also like Gaethje in this. I think the Monks will just pull up the odds. I think the interesting thing will be if Gaethje wins, does he have to go through Poirier to get to Oliveira?
Well, I think Poirier is already booked.
That's already booked, isn't it?
For Oliveira.
Yeah.
So maybe Gaethje gets the winner of that, or maybe he gets...
he might get the loser of that.
Or he might get Islam as well coming through. So
it's a stacked division, that lightweight.
Exactly. So, it's depends on how they want to play it, how the title picture all plays out. But, Justin's definitely putting his name in that. With a win, he'll definitely put his name into that conversation of like, I need to be next in line.
The other fight there on that main card is Shane Burgos and Billy Quarantillo in the featherweight there, 14th versus unranked. I'm not sure why that one goes before Gaethje and Chandler.
An interesting fight there with Alaquenta and Bobby Green in the prelims as well is probably the other one to manage.
Yep. Not too many other big names there
not too many other
on
big
the
names.
prelims. That'll do us for UFC 268. We will run quickly through the last little bits of news. We've got some AFL and NRL news. Jordan De Goey has been stood down by the Collingwood Football Club following an arrest in New York, and by all accounts, it seems like he was being a proper dickhead in this one.
Yep. All charges have been dropped though, so
that's good. That's good for him.
For him, that's good.
Yeah.
So he's trying to clear his name and all that, but yeah, he's over there because he's doing his
meant to be training,
like he's
off-season training.
Yeah, professional. He's at a what are they, performance athletics place over there, trying to, of course, build himself up for next season. But yeah, obviously
he got into a scrap. Essentially, had been
grabbing some cheeks.
Yeah, inappropriately touching a female, and then got in a scrap with, I think, the partner or her friend, and that's why he was arrested. And Collingwood, he does have a few little indiscretions before this. They were pretty quick to swing the axe, but. I suppose good for...
stood him down but not cut him. He's still on their list, isn't he?
Monks will be able to bring that up.
I think he's still on the list, but he's stood down indefinitely.
He stood down indefinitely, so he hasn't been sacked.
No. Yeah, he hasn't got the Tyrone May treatment.
Well, do you want to talk about Tyrone May?
Yeah, well, that leads
he was on thin ice as well after that sex tape from last year.
Yes, and then his post-premiership celebration... posts.
Yeah, double post. That's all right. Double post.
Yeah, on the Instagram, he's alluding to his previous cases essentially, and Penrith said, hey, that's in breach of your contract. That's not on, so they essentially get out of his contract scot free, pick up an extra $300K, I think, or 200 and something extra.
I'm glad
cash.
you mentioned that because that seems a lot to do with it here.
Yeah.
Tyrone might have been a little bit expendable there, and especially with under some cap pressure.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to re-up Appy Coruscant at the moment as well, so maybe that helps them out. Of course, was it Nathan Cleary came out in support of Tyrone May on Instagram because they're good friends, and everyone's making fun of them about, hey, that's exactly what he did, and now he's gone. So is there a double standard here or not?
Well, like going back to Aaron Rodgers, and there's different levels to this shit. Tyrone May is not Nathan Cleary.
Yes,
unfortunately. He loses a job there. I think he'll get picked up. But
he's got talent. He get picked up. Take Adam Elliott. Of course, he got picked up by the Raiders after his run in the bathrooms. He's they're getting second chances for some of these little indiscretions. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. What happened in the NBA, Monks? How's the tables looking for a quick review of where we're at in the NBA?
Your Denver Nuggets have had a bit of a slow start. Where
I think Jokic has been struggling a little bit with a few niggles, so that hasn't helped their chances.
Yeah, although they're 4-4, like early days. The Jazz are off to another heater. They're 7-1, and they love to play well in the regular season. see how that translates postseason. The Warriors 6-1.
What is surprising actually is the 76ers after a slow start now.
Yeah.
When I say slow start, I think they dropped their first two to kick off, but now they're 7-2, top of the division.
They're cooking.
Still no
Ben Simmons. Still no Ben Simmons. So obviously they can play good ball without him.
I think what's impressive though, Heat and Bulls both retooled and rebuilt their teams in the off season. Now up there, it's both at 6-2, 2-3, and in that division. So yeah. Again, long season.
Boston and Milwaukee probably off to slow starts as well. There in the
Knicks
East
as well, maybe a little bit too.
4-5, and the Atlanta Hawks.
Hawks down
at
there.
4-5. But then Yeah, the bottom end of the East there with the Pacers, Magic, Pistons, nothing out of the ordinary there. The Pelicans are 1-8, and without Zion, they look pretty ordinary. I think Brandon Ingram's missed a few as well, which doesn't help when you don't have your best two on the court. But they're looking very, very ordinary in the West. And the Lakers have sort of bounced back from that 0-2 start, getting to 5-4.
It helps when LeBron's in the side. So
It helps. LeBron missing games is never good for the Lakers. But yeah, look, back in full swing. Patty Mills had a quiet week compared to his opening week, I suppose. There for the Nets, and still no sign of Kyrie Irving. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on the NBA. I didn't get to watch too much this week, I must admit. Bloody life was getting in the way. But yeah, it's early days, and we'll see. We'll keep tracking what happens there. Let's jump over to the Champions League. Our boys, Sheriff Tiraspol, they copped an L to Inter Milan. So after that dream start for the Moldovans, it looks like they're going to struggle to get out of that stacked group.
Yes.
Ronaldo saved United. They went down 1-0, and then Ronaldo equalised, and then they went down 2-1, and then Ronaldo got the brace to save them, and perhaps Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's neck at the moment. A lot of speculation around him, and Tottenham did sack their coach during the week. If you wouldn't mind, I don't think they've announced. Have they announced a new coach yet? There, at Spurs.
You're gonna beat me to it, Max. I did see some chat about who they were looking at for a coach. Off the top of my head,
Keen to sign Marcelo.
Oh, there you go.
Brozovic,
where's
from
he?
Inter?
Inter, the Croatian mastermind there. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there with Spurs. Let's just go back to the Champions League, if you wouldn't mind bringing that up. Because there was a whole round of games, and we should have some tables.
There's a whole round of games, of course, happening in the EPL while you look into that. And from last week, what we had at the moment, Chelsea's 1, Liverpool's 2, City 3, Hammers moving back up. They're in 4th at the moment, with Man United in 5th. Arsenal actually starting to win some matches and now in 6th position.
Where's United dropped down to 8th?
No, Man United's 5th.
5th,
Sorry, 5th. So Arsenal is now into 6th. Tottenham's fallen down to 10. Leicester City's
Spurs
at
at 10 and no coach.
Yep.
Be interesting to see what happens there.
Yep. Newcastle, of course, still in 19th. And
Imagine if they
Northwest
get
City
relegated.
is last.
Imagine if after spending all this money, they get relegated.
Still haven't won a match, neither of the two bottom teams.
Well, So the Geordies there waiting for their Saudi saviours to come in and spend some money on them. They're looking at those the tables quickly. In the Champions League, 4 games played, so 2 to go in the groups. In Group A, City and PSG, they're both through. Bruges and Leipzig will go there. Liverpool is through in Group B, so then it'll be a battle, it looks like, between Porto and Atletico for that second spot. AC Milan having a stinker, not quite the same team that they used to be in yesteryear. In Group C, Ajax is through, and it'll be Borussia Dortmund and Sporting Lisbon fighting out for that second spot. Besiktas, the Turks, they're gone. Group D, that's where our boys Sheriff Tiraspol. Look, they're not gone yet. They after those 2 wins to start off, they've copped 2 L's. They're sitting in 3rd on 6 points, with the big dogs Inter and Real Madrid in 1st and 2nd. But yeah, it's still alive there. The Moldovan would be a good dream if they were to get out of the group. Bayern Munich are the red hot fucking favourites for this. Yeah. They are on top of Group E. They've scored 17 goals, 2 against. They haven't had a loss just yet. We did. I think you asked me last time we were speaking about the Champions League who my pick would be, and this week it's just Bayern firming as looking like a really strong side.
Yep.
Barca, after a sluggish start, they're in 2nd. They should get out of that group with Benfica and Dynamo Kiev. Going through to Group F, United actually sitting in a joint lead there with Villarreal. After getting saved by Ronaldo, as I mentioned before, with Atalanta and Young Boys there. Group G is anyone's game with Red Bull Salzburg, Lille, Wolfsburg and Sevilla all in the hunt. And then Group H, Juventus is through, and Chelsea looks like they'll go through. So we're starting to get a bit of a shape as to who's going through, who's looking good. In terms of the English teams, Chelsea and City probably looking the best, although Liverpool there, and United looks like they'll get through. So it looks like all four English teams will get through.
So to finish up the show, we'll talk about some motorsports. There's an F1 race tomorrow night, qualifying, of course, tonight. That is in Mexico. That championship is heavily contested, as we talked about. But I think we'll finish with supercars, the Australian, top motorsport arena. The season did restart on last weekend, or was leading into. Well, it was last weekend, and there was a few races leading into it. Over our podcast, we thought it was funny. We should mention Anton De Pasquale. Has the same name and the same nose as you, Peps. So poor bloke.
That was my grandfather's name, and is my middle name. No D so he's Anton De Pasquale. But very unusual. That's pretty close to my name right there. He can drive a car.
Yes, he of the 3 races, I think he won 2 of them, and the third race he had to sit out because he took an illegal tyre option. So that was pretty good for him. And of course, coming back in SVG, Shane Van Gisberg is leading that championship quite well. Interesting news for David Reynolds. He ends up in a bit of the Aaron Rodgers situation with his
the cocoa.
Well, his alternative vaccination, immunization protocol. Yeah, it sounds like it. They didn't buy it, of course, and he now has to sit out the next 3 races. He did race last weekend, but then of course they've had to review his situation. They're not saying he's at fault, but they kind of missed it and said, well, all the drivers need to be vaccinated. He's unvaccinated. He now needs to miss the next 3 races while I think he gets vaccinated in that process.
He's going to do it as well?
I'm not sure.
I think he's already got his first.
So he's like, okay, you forced me to. I got my first, and I'll wait now the 3 weeks until I can get my second, and then at that point I can then come back and race. So, but interesting because he's heavily in the picture for title contention. He's been doing pretty well as well. But SVG I think's got the lead. But I thought that was an interesting note to finish us off in the motorsport world.
I just want to go quickly back to Anton De Pasquale. I think you've really thrown him under the bus. He's a good-looking rooster. Yeah, I've only got the front profile.
Got to get the side.
I've got to get the side profile. If he's from the boot, the boot kicking the soccer ball, the boys from there tend to have a bit of a schnoz on them. But he looks like a good-looking rooster. Poor Anton De Pasquale. I'll stick up for you, mate. I think you're probably a bit more of a rooster than myself. But good on you for getting a win and run those names. Fly the flag for the Antons and the Pasquales of the world.
So back on Reynolds, I think it all sort of stemmed from the New South Wales government saying that he had to be vaccinated. So he's been a race to date, but then New South Wales said, no, you've got to be vaccinated to compete. So that's why he's gone into it. So I think more so to the point of wanting to be vaccinated. So he's got next couple races, and then towards the end of the month, there's also Bathurst.
Yes. If you want to make Bathurst,
that was the big carrot at the end of the stick.
Yes, definitely. So
that's it.
Yeah, and of course that's coming up in a month's time.
End of this month.
Yeah, because they've had to push a lot of their races back, of course, because they put the season on hold with all the cocoa in the east coast of Australia. And with that, we went full circle talking all about COVID. I think that should end our show for today. Thank you, lads, as always, for coming out for a podcast, even if it is early on a Saturday morning.
That's right. A few Saturday morning beers went down. Okay, I can't tell you the last time I've had Saturday morning beers. I have had them in the past.
Just don't tell the missus.
It's just on the internet. But no, seriously, a bit of a quicker show this week, but thank you, boys, for making it happen. Obviously, scheduling was a bit difficult this week. Shout out to my mate Boydo back from the UK. We caught up for dinner Thursday night along with all the lads. Hadn't seen him for a couple of years, so that's why we didn't go with the Thursday night. The usual time, but I imagine we should be back to at least a nighttime podcast in the coming week. We've got by next podcast we'll have the semi-final pictures for the T20 World Cup. We will have that F1 race. We will have UFC 268 to talk about.
Yep.
Obviously, the regular seasons moving forward in the NBA and in the soccer, and a wrap up, of course, of the week in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. That's it.
Thank you, lads.
Cheers,
Thank
boys.
you. See you all next week.
Good sesh.
Okay.
Enjoy your weekend.
Bye.
Catch ya.
Bye.